All right, folks, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive with us?
Absolutely. Always ready to dig into some basketball.
You know it. And we got some pretty interesting games coming up on January 22nd, 2025.
Yeah, it looks like a fun slate of games in both the NBA and college hoops.
Yeah, we'll be looking at some of those betting predictions, but, we're not just going to focus on who might win.
Right.
We're going to try and get into, the strategies, the potential upsets.
Yep.
And really just kind of what makes these games worth tuning into.
For sure.
So let's kick things off in the NBA, shall we?
Yeah.
We got the Atlanta Hawks taking a trip to the Detroit Pistons.
Okay.
Hawks are coming in as the favorites, but just by a hair, just by 2.5 points.
Yeah, 2.5.
Yeah.
So what is it about this matchup that has the odds makers so close on this one?
Yeah, well, when you see a spread that tight 2.5 points, you're basically talking about a coin flip, right?
Right.
Doesn't really give a clear advantage to the Hawks, even though they do have a slightly better record this season.
But one thing that stood out to me is Detroit's defense. They've been pretty stingy lately.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've been causing a lot of turnovers, and they're making it tough for teams to score, even those teams that are known for putting up big numbers.
So does that make the Pistons kind of a sneaky good bet here, even as the underdogs?
It's possible, especially when you consider that the Hawks, they really rely on that three-point shot.
Oh, yeah.
And Detroit, they've been closing out on shooters really effectively.
Oh, wow.
So if Atlanta can't find their range from downtown, it could be a long night for them in Detroit.
All right, well, that is something to keep an eye on for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's switch gears to a game that, well, this one could be a shootout, I have a feeling.
Oh, yeah.
We got the Phoenix Suns hosting the Brooklyn Nets, and the Suns, they're the favorites here.
Makes sense.
But instead of focusing on the point spread, I want to talk about the over-under.
Okay.
Because this game has got a high predicted total for points, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Like they're expecting a lot of buckets in this one.
Yeah, and that's no surprise when you think about it. Both these teams, they like to play fast. And their rosters are packed with offensive talent.
Yeah.
But what makes the Suns' offense so dangerous is they can score from anywhere.
Right.
They're not just relying on one or two stars.
Right.
They've got multiple guys who can create their own shot or, find an open teammate for a good look.
So you're saying even for a neutral fan, this game is probably going to be pretty fun to watch.
Oh, absolutely. Lots of action, high scoring, probably some highlight reel plays.
I like it. All right. Let's move over to college basketball. Now we've got the Houston Cougars hosting the Utah Utes. And wow, Houston is favored by a whopping 19.5 points.
19.5. Yeah, that's a big one.
That is a big one. What makes this matchup so lopsided?
Well, Houston is just on a roll right now, undefeated at home.
Okay.
They've won their last 10 games, and their defense, oh, man, it's suffocating.
Really?
Yeah. They force turnovers, block shots, and it's like they make it almost impossible for the other team to even get a clean look at the basket.
So you're saying they're good on defense, but 19.5 points.
It's a big margin.
That's a huge margin to cover. Is there any chance Utah can even keep this one close?
Utah has had trouble scoring on the road, and now they're going up against a Houston team that's playing with a ton of confidence. So
right.
It's not impossible for Utah to pull off the upset, but it would take a near-perfect performance from them. And even then, Houston might still win pretty easily.
All right, so maybe not the best game to bet on if you're looking for a real nail-biter.
Probably not.
Let's wrap things up with one more college game. This one's got a little history behind it.
Okay.
The Texas A&M Aggies, they're facing the Ole Miss Rebels and Texas A&M. They've really dominated this matchup lately. They've won 7 out of their last 10 meetings.
Yeah.
So does that past performance give them an edge in this game, like from a betting perspective?
Well, historical trends, they can be helpful, but they're not always the best way to predict what's going to happen, Ole Miss, they have a new coach this season, and they've been playing a much faster-paced style of basketball.
Interesting.
They're getting healthy, too, Some key players are coming back from injury just in time for this one.
So maybe this is a case where you can't just look at the past results?
Yeah, could be. Ole Miss might be a tougher opponent than people think.
Than their record against A&M might suggest.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, it sounds like this game could be closer than people expect.
Definitely a team to watch.
All right, so we've covered some exciting games, from potential upsets to, those high-scoring shootouts.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, any final words of wisdom for our listeners who might be thinking about putting down some bets?
Always gamble responsibly, folks.
Right.
Only bet what you can afford to lose, and even more importantly, do your research. Don't just look at the basic stats. Try to really understand each matchup, look at the nuances.
I like it. Great advice. And, even if you're not a betting person, I think understanding the logic behind these predictions can add a whole other layer of enjoyment to watching the games.
For sure.
It's like having a secret decoder ring to understand everything that's happening on the court.
I like that analogy.
All right, folks, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
We'll catch you next time with more insights and analysis.
See you then.